Okay, so hi y'all. I'm Angela Dillmon from the Dillmon Group at Keller Williams Realty Chesterfield, and we're here to help you live your dream lifestyle, build wealth, and leave legacies that matter. And this is Glenn Calvin at Guild Mortgage. So welcome to our seminar on building wealth through homeownership. So let me tell you a little bit about who I am. I'm a homeowner and a realtor. Real estate has created great wealth for me and my family. My husband and I started investing when we were in our 20s, when we bought our first home. And we bought and sold investment properties, and then we cashed them in and built our dream home. And my husband and I have been our own general contractors in our last two homes that we built. And I've been married for almost 40 years. And I want to pass on the keys to build wealth through real estate to you. I was once where you are. And I'm super thankful for the first-time home buyer, because you are the beginning of the chain that moves real estate. As the first-time home buyer goes, so real estate values go. And you're very super important to the process. So we're passionate about building wealth through real estate. You too can be a multimillionaire through real estate home ownership.
And I'm Glenn Calvin. I'm with Guild Mortgage, and I've been in mortgage lending for over 30 years. I've seen this industry grow and change from all kinds of different perspectives. For a while, I had my own mortgage brokerage company, and I spent some time at a bank and also as a preferred lender for one of St. Louis area's largest home builders. My position here at Guild is one of origination and management. And like Angie, the thing that excites me the most is working with the first-time home buyers, because I pride myself in being able to explain the process and inform people who are looking to purchase a home about the cost and the responsibilities. And like Angie, I'm a homeowner as well. And throughout the years, I've seen how wisely investing in real estate and monitoring your mortgage can help you grow your wealth exponentially.
So there's a couple of realities that we want you to know. One of them is that the cost of living doubles every 20 years without fail. You don't think it's possible, but it happens. As a result, some people retire wealthy and some don't have two nickels to rub together. Why is that? Because some are spenders and some are investors. The opportunity is there for all of us to become wealthy through investing in real estate. It's just one of the vehicles to building wealth. It's your choice. When you get to retirement age, you can either be a burden on your family and live where someone tells you and how they tell you, with who they tell you, or you can live a wealthy retirement and live where you want, how you want, wherever you want, for as long as you want. So in this seminar, we hope to provide you with the tools to start your homeownership journey and build wealth through real estate. So why buy a home? Well, renting adds up. Monthly rent rises, as it will inevitably do. You could end up putting over $1 million in your landlord's pocket. If your rent's just $2,000 a month, in 10 years, you will put $240,000 in your landlord's pocket. In 15 years, as much as $360,000, and in 30 years, $720,000. The average net worth of a homeowner is $300,000, which is the difference between your assets like your savings, your checking account, your cars, your IRA, and what you owe. The average net worth of a renter is $8,000. Why is that? Because your investment, your home, keeps up with inflation. As inflation rises, home prices rise. Today, inflation is 6%. So if you're renting, you're 6% in the hole. If you own a home, you're worth 6% more. So that's a difference of 12% between the renter and the homeowner. So now you can see why owning puts more money in your pocket than you can ever possibly save.
Yeah, when you're renting a home, you're paying down your landlord's mortgage, not your own, and you're building his wealth. Your monthly rental payment is much more likely to increase, while your mortgage payment is fixed and does not increase unless your taxes and insurance go up. As a renter, you're limited in what you can customize in your home to make it your own. You pay rent, fees, security deposits, and you get nothing in return. On the other hand, every time you make a mortgage payment, you're paying part of the principal down, while the home is historically appreciating at the same time. This is how wealth is created and how you put money in your pocket.
Number two, you'll have a tax benefit. You may have the ability to write off your interest in your real estate taxes and get money back. It helps soften the blow of the monthly payment and keeps more money in your pocket.
So equity. So we define equity in the home as the difference between the value of your home and the amount you owe. From day one of being a homeowner, you're increasing this equity. First, by paying your loan balance down with each and every mortgage payment. In addition, we have historically seen houses appreciate at 4% per year.
So what's appreciation, Glenn?
All right, great question. So appreciation, if you were to own a home at $300,000 home and your home goes in value 4% per year, that's $12,000 the first year. The interesting thing is that compounds at 4% each year. So after 5 years, your home is now worth $365,000, giving you an additional $65,000 in equity. Like before, more money in your pocket. This is why the net worth of a homeowner is always higher than a perpetual renter. Another great advantage of homeownership is the ability to refinance and lower your payment. There's never a penalty to prepay a mortgage loan, meaning you could sell your house, or even better, when rates go down, you can refinance it to the lower rate, making your payments cheaper. If you're comfortable with your current payment, you can decrease the length of the loan term and pay off the loan sooner. Either way saves you a lot of money. Rent does not go down, and homeowners are in control.
Number 5, you can improve your home and increase your net worth and make the space your own. You can't do that when you rent. So every time you paint or put in a new counter, or maybe even remodel a bath, you just increase the value of your home. This puts more money in your pocket and builds your wealth.
So Angie, let's talk of this. I've heard a lot of people mention this term house hacking. Can you tell us all what house hacking means?
Well, Glenn, I'm glad you asked. House hacking just means holding on to the house that you bought when you're ready to buy the next one. So now you have an automatic rental with very little money down, because when you purchase as a homeowner, you don't need to put nearly as much down as you do when you're an investor. And when you retire, the house is paid off, the rent becomes passive income for you. This is a great wealth building strategy.
All right, so here's a question for everybody, and for you specifically, Angie. Is now a good time to buy, or should we wait?
Oh, that's a great question. What are you guys hearing out there? You're hearing that rates are high, or maybe I should wait until the market kind of settles down. So, well, if you're renting, what do you think the interest is on your rent? That's right, 100%. So don't let people say the interest rates are too high. Now, the real question is that you can't outrun affordability.
So what do you mean by that? I can't run affordability. I always thought I was a genius.
Well, even for a genius, affordability means your monthly payment, right? So
Yep.
Isn't that one of your chief concerns when you buy a house?
Yeah, sure is.
Let's look at the scenario where a home is worth $200,000 and your payment's about $1,200 a month. And you think, wow, that's expensive. I'm going to wait until prices come down. So you wait until the house is now only worth $190,000. Well, what you didn't count on is the interest rates went up 0.5% to 6.5%. And guess what? Your payments are still the same. So now you decide, well, gee, I'm going to wait again. And now the home decreases to another 10%. And now the home's only worth $180,000. But now the interest rate's 7%. And guess what? Your payment's still the same. So Glenn, even though you're a genius, even geniuses can't outrun affordability. So there's no better time to buy than now, because in today's scenario, interest rates and home prices are both rising at the same time. So once you establish your budget and your monthly payment, we can back into the price range that will keep you in your budget.
Okay, so I haven't bought my first home yet, but tell me quick, how can I get to my dream home?
Okay, another great question. So have you ever wondered why how they are buying their second and third homes, and they're buying these expensive homes? Or do you think that their payment just doubled or tripled? Or maybe they just saved their way there, or maybe they got a big raise at work? Well, your first home purchase is so important because it catapults you to the second and third home. If you buy wrong and get a money pit to start, it'll cripple you and you get stuck and you can't move up. But if you buy right, you can bring $60,000 to $70,000 of equity with you when you buy your next home. So Glenn, let's just say you bought a home for $200,000 and paid down your loan to $180,000.
Now I have $20,000 in equity to use towards the purchase of my next home, right?
That's right. But now at the same time, your house appreciated in value and is now worth $250,000. So now you have a total of $70,000 in equity to use toward the purchase of your next home. So now let's just say you've got the 70 in your house and you managed to save $30,000 for your next home. So now you can go out and buy a $350,000 home for that much more of a payment than you have now. Can you see the chain reaction here? Buying the first home really does catapult you to your dream home. So let's talk about buying a home. This is the overview for all the steps necessary to buy a home.
Wow, that looks complicated.
There are a lot of steps, no doubt, and we're going to break this down for you and make it understandable.
So it looks like selecting a real estate agent is the first step. Why is that?
So buying a home has many moving parts, as you can see. You will need a team of experts to help you make a good investment. Your wealth building strategy really does depend on it. It benefits you to have a realtor and a lender and a title company and inspectors and insurance people all on the same page working in your best interest. Not all realtors and lenders are created equal. At the Dillmon Group and at Guild Mortgage, we have the same mindset. Your best interest always comes first, and building your wealth through real estate is our priority. We've created a smooth and efficient system that helps you obtain discounts for services, making sure that you get a good investment, a good rate with the lowest fees possible. The next thing we're going to have you do is talk to Glenn. Glenn, why do we need to talk with you?
So knowing your price range and qualifications before you start looking at a home is essential. Most of the time, you're going to be qualified for more than you feel comfortable paying. Meaning that when I look to see how much a person is qualified to buy a home, oftentimes that number is higher than what they're going to feel comfortable in paying monthly. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
My advice is to start with a budget. Find out what your comfort level is as far as monthly payment. Once you have a number in mind, we're going to have a brief conversation. I'm going to give you an overview of the whole process and a rough idea of what loan amount and home price would look like in relationship to your goal for monthly payment. We're also going to take a minute to discuss the down payment and the funds you have available.
Is the mortgage payment really any different than a monthly rent payment?
Yes, it is. Unlike your rent payment, which only includes your monthly rent, your mortgage payment consists of a few different things. Part of the payment goes to principal, which is the amount that goes to paying the loan down. The other part goes to interest, which goes to the bank. Next, real estate taxes, then homeowners insurance are all included in your monthly payment. So you don't have to worry about paying your real estate tax bill or your homeowners insurance every year. The bank will do that for you. For those who put less than 20% down, there's a mortgage insurance, which insures the lender in case of default.
Okay, Glenn, so I got my budget figured out. What's my next step?
Angie, the next step is going to be completing a loan application. This can be done over the phone or online. The online version takes 10 to 15 minutes. The application will let me know your work history, credit profile, and your current income. I'll use those in determining which loan programs you're eligible for and how they best suit your needs. We'll review the loan application together and then begin to gather documentation which will validate the information you're given.
Okay, Glenn, I got this one. I got a credit report from Credit Karma. I'm really good to go, right?
No, sorry, Angie, that's not it. Have you ever had a credit report like when you bought a car? Well, a lender's credit report is much more detailed and has a profound impact on the entire process. Pulled from 3 different sources, an acceptable score can be as low as 580. However, the lower the score, the less options you have, and the higher the rate. The higher the score, the better the interest rate and the more programs you'll qualify for.
Okay, but Glenn, my credit score is lower than 580. Is that really a problem?
Yes, a score that low can be an issue. However, there are several tips and tricks that we have developed over the years, such as correcting any errors, paying down credit card debt, or even being added as an authorized user to someone else's account. These tactics can quickly change your score for the better. Once we have your credit report, we can customize a plan for you to raise it and to increase your score if needed.
Okay, so Glenn, are there any special programs for the first-time home buyer?
Yeah, great question, Angie. Once we have a complete application, we'll look at various scenarios and programs that we have available and which ones best suit your needs. Fortunately, there are many opportunities available only to first-time home buyers. We'll also discuss the down payment options and fees associated with the closing cost. We'll look at the maximum amount you'll be qualified for and discuss in detail the fees associated with purchasing a home and the funds needed, and more importantly, monthly payments. Some of the programs we have require no money down at all.
No money down? Seriously, my parents always told me that I needed 20% down to buy a home.
No, that's not. We have plenty of them. No money down. This screen shows us a list of all the programs available for the first and second time home buyers that grant you money to cover your down payment and closing costs. Some of these programs are money from the state of Missouri, grants from Freddie Mac, money available from nonprofit entities in the metro area, and grants from Guild Mortgage as well. Each of these programs has its conditions and limitations, and we'll spend some time finding which one best suits your needs.
Right. So you mentioned closing costs, and what if I don't qualify for no money down program? How do I come up with the money I need?
Great. So it's a misconception earlier that the down payment has to come from your own checking account or that you need 20%. The down payment and closing costs can come from, of course, your own savings account, a 401k loan, gift from a relative, and oftentimes even a grant from an employer. Additionally, the seller can pay your closing costs, which includes the inspections, loan fees, title work, homeowners insurance, etc. So at this time, I'll also provide you with a pre-approval letter. This lets the seller know that you are qualified to buy the home. It's important not to make any changes to your employment or go buy a car, open a new credit card or line of credit without talking to me. You need to discuss any changes with your lender before you make them, as this can affect your qualifying for the loan. So I personally prefer to get all our pre-approvals completely underwritten.
No, so there's a difference you're saying between a pre-approval and being fully underwritten.
Yeah, there sure is. Underwriting means that we'll have you sign some disclosures authorizing us to submit your file to an underwriter who will validate all the information provided and approve your loan subject to the title and the appraisal. This gives you more negotiating leverage.
So now the seller knows that you've been completely approved by the lender and does not need to worry about your loan at all. Does this make sense? So now you could even make an offer like a cash buyer, subject to an appraisal. This makes sellers more likely to choose you or help you get the home for a lower price. Now that you have your loan approved and you set your budget and you're comfortable with your payment and you've established a price range, it's time to hunt for a home. So what have you been hearing out there? Have you heard that things are slowing down a bit? Have you heard all these crazy bid wars going on? So let's just talk about the market for a moment. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and because of it, there really are a lot of opportunities missed. So let's look at how we got here. House prices have been rising since 2013. We call that appreciation. By 2020, we were back to the 4% yearly appreciation line. Can you go to the next slide, Abner? And then COVID happened. So as you can see, in 1990, they predicted house prices to rise at 4% a year. That's exactly what they've done, just not steadily, sometimes really high, sometimes low, but 4% on the average. By 2020, we're back to this 4% yearly appreciation line that was predicted, and then COVID happened. The Fed lowered the rates to make sure the economy wouldn't tank, and then buying a house became more affordable than renting. So demand increases and house prices rose. Then the Fed raised rates to help slow things down. But house prices didn't fall. They're not falling because we still have a supply and demand issue. Supply is low, demand is still high. It's just that simple. So when inflation comes down or the economy gets stressed out, they lower rates, which makes housing more affordable and prices go up again. So the opportunity here is if you buy a house now at a payment you can afford and inflation only gets better and they lower the rates, you can refinance and your payment will get cheaper and your house value goes up and it's worth more money. So now you have more equity to catapult you to your next home.
That sounds like a great reason not to rent or live with family for too long. Sounds like I might miss out.
So as we said, the cost of living doubles nearly every 20 years. So there's no better time to buy than right now, because there are 4 buyers for every can of soup on the shelf. Prices have been going up and they will continue to. Homes that are priced really well and they're really in good condition are going to have more showings and they do have multiple offers on them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Our buyer's agent dedicates all his time to help you hunt for the perfect house, getting the best possible price at best possible house for you at the lowest price possible. But not every realtor is just a buyer's agent.
All right, wait a minute. I thought all agents help you buy or sell a house.
That's a great question, Glenn. Most agents do try to do both. They help you buy and sell homes. But as you can see, it's a really complicated and kind of a long process to buy a home. So as a result, most agents kind of run around like chickens with their heads cut off because they're so busy handling the 188 tasks to buy a home. And that's how many steps there are. There's 188. They aren't able to show you a home when it needs to be seen, and a lot of times many details get missed because they're just too busy. So at the Dillmon Group, we have a dedicated buyer's agent, Josh Gullidge. He's solely focused on helping buyers find a home. He represents you in your best interest at all times. A seller's agent is what some people call a listing agent, who represents the seller. They have the sign in the yard. So if you find a house you like and you call the agent on the sign, that agent does not work for you in any way. They represent the seller in the seller's best interest. And they're looking for terms best for the seller. Does that make sense?
Yeah, bravo. I never thought of that.
Because we have this dedicated buyer's agent working for you, it allows us the ability to hunt for on-market and off-market properties every day.
But wait a minute, what's an off-market property?
I'm glad you asked. An off-market property is a property that is not yet being actively marketed online. It could be listed, have an agreement with a realtor, and not yet active, which simply means it's not being advertised anywhere. Or it could be someone we know that's thinking about selling. And since I've been selling for over 35 years, we talk to lots and lots of people every day who are thinking about moving. So it's properties the general public does not see. Now, with an office of over 400 agents, we can also see all the listings in our office that are not yet actively marketed. So we've got a young couple right now buying their first home, and we just got them one of these off-market deals where the seller just really did not want to get the home ready to show. I mean, it was floor to ceiling boxes. And they were able, this young couple was able to get the house under contract at a great price. They got it for about 30 grand less, which gives them 30,000 in equity right off the bat the day they close, which is an awesome deal in today's market. Not everyone does that.
I have noticed that the Dillmon Group has an excellent reputation working with other agents in the area.
So Glenn, we are one of the top teams in St. Louis, and what that means is we know a lot of agents. And when we're calling on a home, it is a lot of interest and our name shows up in the caller ID instead of a random number. It gives you as a buyer a lot of benefit. So it gives you an edge in negotiating. So the next thing we're going to do is set you up on a home search.
So if you help me hunt for a home, will I get a lot of other people bugging me? A lot of phone calls, emails?
Okay, so no, absolutely not. We will set you up on a search that will all share, that's populated straight through the MLS, and it's private. So the MLS is where all the realtors input their listings. You won't get any solicitations or people bugging you. You also get the listings a lot faster. We see them immediately as well. And most of the time we see them before you do, because we're paying so much more attention to the search because you're at work. And of course, we're hunting for off-market properties as well. So being the first one in the door can help you be the one to get to the home. Which reminds me, Glenn, when you're looking at a home, can you tell if it's a good home for your budget or not a good budget?
Yeah. I wouldn't have any
So
idea.
when you walk into a house, can you tell if it's a good deal for the money or if it's overpriced and you can do a lot better?
How would I know that? No way.
Okay, so remember, your first purchase is so important to build to the next step onto your dream home and to build your dream lifestyle. Our buyer's agent will literally tell you, please do not buy this home. It has issues, or it's not a good home, or it's overpriced and we can find better. We're in so many homes, so many more homes than you. We know good deals when we see them, and when we see them, we tell you. And when they're overpriced, we tell you. Not all agents do that.
That sounds great, but how many homes will I need to look at before I find the one?
Okay, so one thing you don't want to do is look at 20 to 40 homes. This causes burnout, and they all just kind of like start running together. So a good buyer's agent can help you establish your top 3 non-negotiables in a home so that we can all focus on what really matters to you. If the home doesn't have a garage or doesn't have a basement or doesn't have at least 2 baths, you're just not going to buy it. So we help you get on the same page about what's super important. And then you also learn what's most important in resale as well.
All right, so how do I know if I can find the home that fits my budget?
That's a super important question. We've developed a really great exercise that you can do online to help you with what to expect in a home that meets your needs and your budget. So what you'll do is you'll look at homes at the top of your budget And then we'll just keep lowering the price until you say, absolutely no, I would not buy a house that looks like that. This helps you determine if your criteria and your price range that you've established is doable in today's market. We also don't want to see you squeeze into a house that you have to drastically compromise on and then move in 2 years, where the commissions and expenses of moving can really eat up your profit. Instead, we want you to reevaluate now and get in a home that you can live in for 5 to 10 years if you want to. So when you don't take the time to evaluate your criteria, you will burn out and settle on a weak house in a weak moment. We want to help you avoid a poor choice and make a smart choice and build wealth. Does that make sense?
It does. So do I have to hire an agent, or can I just use a bunch of them?
Okay, so hunting down a home and getting accepted contract takes a lot of dedicated time and expertise. So if you want an agent who's going to help you build wealth and put more money in your pocket, you'll want to hire an agent in their team. Since not all agents are created equal, you don't want a weak agent in a weak moment. You want an experienced one that's a great negotiator, a great strategist, and is well connected with a great reputation. So don't leave this up to chance. If you just call the agent that appears on the screen, like when you're on a website, it's no telling who you'll get. A lot of them are very inexperienced, especially due to the fact there are more realtors now than ever. And you'll need to engage an experienced team who knows how to create wealth for you. A weak agent in a weak moment can really bring down your wealth instead of increase your wealth. So if you call the seller's agent, otherwise known as that listing agent, they're working for the seller. Buyer's agents are paid by the seller and are only paid at closing. You sign paperwork, it's called exclusive buyer agency, and our whole team can be working for you every day. So now it's time to start looking for a home. Our team will screen properties that match your criteria.
So what do you mean screen homes? We don't just go look at them? More the merrier, right?
Okay, so how would you like to go see a home that just to discover it doesn't have one of your top non-negotiables, or it has a foundation issue, or maybe it's in a floodplain or backs to a gas station? So you took time away from your busy life to drive all the way out there to a property just to discover you wasted your time. So we are going to make sure that does not happen. When you like a home enough online to view it, our team will screen it. First, we'll pull the disclosure, which is a 6-page questionnaire the seller filled out, and we'll screen for your non-negotiables. If it passes the stiff test, your buyer's agent will set up the appointment and meet you at the house. You will look at the house through more of an emotional lens and kind of visualize yourself living there, but we're going to be looking at it through more of an investment and wealth building lens and see if it's the best value for the money. Once we're going to look at the systems, we're going to screen for potential obvious structural concerns. We're going to look at the potential grading issues and water issues. A good agent can also calm your fears about things that might look like they're a big deal, but they really aren't. And we can help you find ways to make the house work for you with a little bit of elbow grease and see its possibilities. So Glenn, let's just say they really like this house. Now, do I need to talk to you again at this point?
Yes, I'm going to update the scenario, which is going to have the payment and all the fees, and look what the taxes are, and give you a quick idea of the payment and the down payment. We look and how it will look on this particular property.
Okay, so now you're comfortable with the monthly payment. You know how much money you're going to need from Glenn, and you're like, okay, this is a great scenario. Now it's time to make the offer. Now, after talking with the listing agent, the buyer's agent is going to come up with some strategies and give you some options on the terms that you can put in the offer.
Okay, Angie, now that you're going to make the offer, what kind of terms are you going to put in there? And does an experienced agent really matter at this point?
So, Glenn, that's a great question. There are a lot of strategies to employ in this market, and using the right ones can make all the difference. It can make the difference between getting the house or not getting the house, or even losing money on inspections or your upfront deposit, otherwise known as some earnest money. So you need a good agent to protect you. Now, strategies are not just what price I should offer. It can also be shortening inspection period or loan time periods, which if you're fully underwritten, you can do, and addressing whatever means most to the seller. So sometimes it's the seller doesn't want to move XYZ in the house, and you're like, fine, I'll do it. There are many ways to make the winning offer, and you need an agent that's experienced in winning. So we average about 2 months to find a buyer a home once they're completely ready with all their financing in place and you know what you really want and the timing's right for you. As opposed to some buyers who I know look for 1 to 2 years with weak agents. So then the offer is submitted and negotiation begins. Now, this is where being completely underwritten again is so important. The sellers will look for the safest buyer to make sure they get all the way to closing with whoever they pick. So it's a really important criteria for that. More strategies we may need to be used right now to tweak the offer in order to come to an agreement with the seller. But once the agreement's made and all the parties sign the offer, now you have an accepted contract. Congratulations. So now, once you have an accepted contract, we're going to move into this multi-phase process. And I say multi-phase because many things are not going to happen all at one time. But don't worry, you're going to be in very experienced hands, and we're going to make this process seamless, right, Glenn?
Yeah, you've already put yourself in a great spot. And it does seem like it's a little overwhelming, but it begins with a conversation and a phone call. And remember that you have experienced people on your team there to walk you through the whole process, answer your questions, and make sure everything's going smoothly.
Okay, so that's awesome. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to send the contract to Glenn. And the lender's going to get busy working at finalizing the loan and ordering the appraisal. At the same time, we're going to order building inspections. So there's whole house inspections, termite, radon, heating and cooling, sewer lateral, and others that you have to choose from. Once you choose, we get those ordered and the inspection takes place usually in the first 5 to 10 days, depending on what's in your contract. 10 days is standard. The next thing that happens at the same time is that the contract goes to the title company. Now, what's the title company got to do with it, Glenn?
Yeah, the title company is going to look back at how the property is currently titled or owned. They're going to make sure that the property has been passed on from owner to owner correctly. They're going to get ready to pay off any loans or liens the current owner would have, and they're going to make sure that we have a clear title, meaning that you're buying a piece of property that you're going to own without any exceptions.
Now, once the inspections are finished, you then decide if there are things that are worthy of asking the seller to repair or get a credit for. Once you make a request, the standard 10-day inspection negotiating period now begins. So Glenn, at the same time, you're ordering the appraisal. So how long does that take?
The appraisal typically takes 5 to 7 days.
Okay, so 5 to 7 days. And once you get that back, what happens?
So now we go back for the final underwriting. We're going to make sure everything is the same as when we started. So it's important to keep your lender informed of any changes to your job or finance. The underwriter will then approve the loan and give us the clear to close, which means that we're ready to get everything situated at the title company and meet the closing date.
Okay, so once we get through inspections and appraisals finished, it's time to decide whether you want to order a survey. You don't have to order one, but there are 2 types of surveys, a spot and a boundary survey. The spot locates the house and shows you kind of a drawing of the property lines. Boundary costs a little more and locates the corners where they put in the little red flags. It locates all the structures, retaining walls, fences, little outbuildings, like a little storage building. And so that one is more expensive and gives you title coverage on actually your boundaries. It usually about $450 for one of those. So if there is a problem on the survey, like someone's fence is in the wrong spot or their storage shed's in the wrong spot, we ask the seller to fix it. And now closing date is upon us. What happens next, Glenn?
Okay, so it's 3 days prior to closing. You'll be receiving your final closing disclosure. This document is required by law for us to provide to you and represent the final accounting of the entire transaction. I'll give you a call and we'll review this document thoroughly, making sure that all the figures are correct. Most importantly, going over the exact amount you'll need at closing. You should also receive the final settlement statement showing all the charges and credits.
Okay, so I can just write a personal check then when I go to closing, right, Glenn?
No, because everything's settled on closing day, there's no time to wait for a personal check to clear. That's why we'll need a cashier's check or for the money to be wired to the title company.
Okay, so now what happens? Okay, now we walk through the house. So up to 4 days prior to closing, we have the right to walk through the house to make sure it looks like when you first saw it. Hopefully the seller's moved out by now and it's empty. You can also check any repairs the seller may have agreed to do. If there's any issues, we notify the seller's agent and we get them repaired prior to closing. Now you're ready for closing day.
So we're all gonna be there. You're gonna know exactly how much money you need to bring to the penny. You're going to sign the final settlement statement. I'm gonna go over the note and the deed of trust in detail, and these state the terms and conditions for paying the loan each month. There are additional disclosures and title company documents as well. We're gonna sign away. And as soon as the money moves around to the seller, then you get the keys and you get to move in.
Wow, now you've started your wealth building journey. Congratulations to building wealth through real estate.
So Angie, I hear from a lot of people wanting to buy their first house, but it just seems so complicated and overwhelming.
So Glenn, you know, it's a really great point. It's not like leasing a home at all. It's much more complicated and it is a process. And this is why you need professionals every step of the way. So let me introduce the team. Glenn is on the top left. Second is Josh Gullidge, our buyer's agent. Third is AARON our listing specialist. Next to me and my husband, John, is my husband, John, of nearly 40 years. And Bobby is Glenn's right-hand man and up in the front. So you'll need the great lender, a great buyer's agent, and you need a great title company, good inspectors, and we have all these resources for you. So Glenn, what's the best way to get started?
Yeah, don't be overwhelmed. It simply starts with a phone call. Click on the link in the chat to set up a time to talk. It's convenient for you. And remember that you're building a team and we're going to remove a lot of the stress, pain, and worry from the process. We've worked with thousands of people over the years and look forward to working with you.
Right. So remember, not all agents are created equal and not all lenders are created equal. So our team has multiple people all working together so that there's always someone available and able to respond to your questions and push this process forward. At the Dillmon Group, we have multiple agents who can show homes. We have specialists for inspections, contract to close specialists who watch your deadlines and keep the paperwork moving. Some of our testimonials bear this out. At the Dillmon Group, out of over 5,000 realtors in the St. Louis Association of Realtors, we are in the top 100. So we're passionate about building your wealth and helping you make a smart wealth building choice.
And at Guild Mortgage, being the top 3 lenders in the nation, we're able to provide you with great rates at a low cost and with many, many loan choices, including programs for first-time home buyers that are exclusive to Guild. Our mission is to help you to build wealth by making smart loan decisions.
So you can book a free home buying appointment today by simply clicking on the calendar link. It takes about 30 to 45 minutes. This appointment's online, so you can do it in the comfort of your own home. Or if you just like to have a conversation and ask more questions, we can do that too. We'll also send you a link to apply online. It only takes 10 to 15 minutes and you can talk with Glenn. We'll start your journey to build wealth through real estate.
And I want to mention, we also have 2 free events each year. One is coming up just in a couple of weeks. It's our free charrette event on April 15th. You invite your family, coworkers, your friends to bring papers to be shredded. You can shred CDs and DVDs too. It's held right here at Guild Mortgage, and again on April 15th from 9 to noon.
And our free family photo day. You get your family photo taken, even with all your dogs and cats, and fun props too. So thank you for coming to our home buyer seminar. Does anybody have any questions?
Nope,
Yeah, I do. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you comment on why sellers would pay the closing costs and how that happens?
Yeah, that's a great question. So right now, since there are so many, multiple offer situations where more than one person is wanting the house, when they're in really nice shape, this happens. Sellers aren't as inclined to do that. But on off-market properties that we get, we really can get the seller to help you with your closing costs. Now, what we do is, what's most important to a seller? What they walk away with, right? What's in their pocket at the end of the day. As long as what they want in their pocket is okay, we can finance, it's a way to finance closing costs. Closing costs can run as much as $7,000. Okay, so it's in addition to your down payment, which is why you want to get screened for a lot of these no money down programs. So let's just say you're looking at a house for $200,000. If the seller wants 200 and they're not going to take a penny less, you could buy it for 207 and the seller would credit you back $7,000 at closing. So you don't have to pull the $7,000 out of your pocket to pay closing costs. Closing costs are inspections, your first year of homeowners, $1,500 of title insurance, interest on the loan until the first of the month. Okay.
I'd also add that a lot of times people selling their first home, they got help from their sellers when they bought that house, so they're accustomed to it. And also in that price range of first-time home buyers, they're accustomed to needing to offer that to sell the house. It is a different world right now with a little bit low inventory, but we still see all the time sellers paying the buyer's closing costs.
Yeah, we can get it. It's usually on the off-market properties right now. And it's really helpful to keep more money in your pocket. Does that help?
Yes, it does.
Anybody else? Any other
Yeah.
questions?
We also have another question from Reggio.
I actually
Alright,
have
yeah.
a couple.
Yep,
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
there it is.
Yeah, I can read them. I actually wrote them out as you all presented. So I think the first question I asked was, you all mentioned it's better to get underwritten first versus pre-approval. But from my understanding, in the pre-approval process, there isn't a hard pull on your credit. So if you're getting underwritten before you put any offers, like you were all mentioning, is your credit is that a hard credit pull at that point?
Yeah, on a pre-approvals, I do a hard credit pool unless the people tell me they don't want me to do one. Usually in that case, it's somebody that needs some kind of credit repair.
Okay.
So then I'm going to do a soft pull. We're going to talk about the credit, but as long as your score is in that, let's say 580 to, 740, whatever, a hard pull on your credit is it's going to affect it 1 or 2 points, not a lot. And it's not going to affect it for more than 30 days, but you really do need that hard pull to get the file completely underwritten.
Okay. And then I guess another question I have is, so I know right now the dollar is devaluing at a pretty alarming rate through to the global economy, and that's actually a pretty significant reason why the inflation keeps getting worse as time continues going on. So if the dollar devalues, what typically happens to a home's value? Do homes tend to see a decrease if the US dollar also decreases? Or do you all
look at that slide that Angie sent with that 4%? Stuff that you're talking about is going to take place, it's going to be up and down, up and down, up and down. Still, the home prices are like this. And I would have thought with raising the interest rates like they did, the prices would have come down a little bit, but because of the low inventory, we're still seeing them go up. The bottom line, nobody knows for sure.
No, there's not one thing that causes a home price to go up or down. Okay. Because obviously let's just look at the dollar devaluing and interest rates rising. Interest rates rising have not stopped anyone from buying a home. Okay, so it's low supply that's really driving this market. There's just not enough homes for the people out there. So there's more than one thing that has to happen before home prices are affected to where they would actually come down. People would just have to stop buying homes. Okay, so usually that means a mortgage crisis that we had back in 08, that caused them to come down. And then what they do 5 years later started going right back up, and now they're higher than they were then. So for home prices to come down usually takes a big economic change for the worse across the board. It's usually what causes them to come down. It has to be a big drastic economy change.
So that's actually my next question then, because I mean, I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but like it's just true that inflation is getting worse and the global economy is getting better as the US dollar devalues. And I know that there's been 3 big national banks over the last month that have closed down And one of them was a mortgage holder. So what happens in a scenario where my partner and I, this is our first home, and the bank that holds our mortgage closes? What happens in that scenario?
So
Since that's
most of the
actually was
loans-
something that
yeah.
happened.
Yeah, so wouldn't it be great if you just didn't have to pay your loan back, but it doesn't work like that. What
Yeah.
happens is that note or deed of trust is transferred. Most of the loans are gonna fall into FHA or conventional. And those notes are all owned by, they're called GSAs, GSEs, government sponsored entities. They're all owned and traded on the bond market. So it doesn't really mean anything if the banks collapse, because all the banks do is collect your payments. And then they pay the FHA and Fannie Mae and Ginnie Mae the interest, and they get a fee for servicing that loan. So if the banks collapse, it wouldn't matter, and I don't think the government would let the banks collapse.
Okay. Thank you. That makes me feel much better.
Actually,
I-
we talked about this before. You're probably better off as a homeowner than you would be as a renter, because your landlord's loan is going to be a commercial loan by a bank, and if that's not performing, the bank's going to take over that property.
I got you. I do have a couple more questions.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So my partner and I, this is gonna be our first home, and she may be inheriting homes from elder relatives in her family once they
Okay.
have passed, and we hope that that's not soon at all, but that is a reality that will happen at some point in the future. How difficult is it to sell a home that has a mortgage on it? And if it does have a mortgage on it, is there like a time clause that says you can't sell within X amount of years, or how does that work?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
So there's no prepayment penalty on any of our loans. So you could refinance them or pay them off the day after you buy them. And Angie would tell you that probably 95% of all homes that are sold have a mortgage on it. If you have a mortgage of 80,000 and you sell for 100, you would subtract out the commission, pay off the mortgage, and then you would net the difference.
So if there's a mortgage on a home that you inherit, you need to call the bank ASAP, because that note is still due. That monthly payment is still owed.
Okay.
Okay, you can't just stop paying it because someone passed. So if you inherit the home with a mortgage, you call the bank right away if you can't make the mortgage payment. If you can make the mortgage payment, you make the payment and you immediately get the home up and get it sold. The
Okay.
title company then researches and gets the loan payoff from the lender. Title company handles all that stuff. They'll make sure that loan gets paid off. They'll make sure the taxes, if they're delinquent, if there's some owed, if the homeowners association dues are owed, the title company researches all that. Make sure that all gets paid at closing out of the proceeds of the sale. So if there's back taxes or anything like that, it'll just, if you sell the house for 200,000 and you owe 100, it just comes off the 200. If you owe $5,000 in back taxes, well, now you get 195. So you don't have to pull things out of your pocket, but that monthly payment does need to be made, or communicate with the bank for some kind of a plan and get the house up immediately. Now, we do have cash buyers. I buy stuff for cash. We have a lot of people who do. So if a home is in great disrepair, and we can talk about either plans to fix it up or plans to sell it as is. But you do need to address it right away. You can't let any grass grow under your feet if there's a mortgage.
Thank you. Yeah, I believe all the homes and the potential inheritance are paid off. So
That's fantastic.
yeah.
Great position to be in.
You gotta be careful with the
Is-
real estate taxes and make sure that they're paid.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Another question I have is, how difficult is it to get a home that isn't in a HOA? Because I'm not a fan of those, and I'd prefer a home like that's not in the HOA. Is that normal, or are HOAs the standard now across the board?
HOAs are standard in subdivisions. However, depending on where you're looking, like what area you're looking to be in.
We don't know yet until we're in St.
Okay.
Louis.
Okay,
We don't know
great.
yet.
Okay, so there are properties that are not in HOAs. If you're in kind of this like Manchester, Baldwin, or Crestwood or Lindbergh schools or something, it is the typical, but there are homes that are not in HOAs. I have a home that's not in an HOA. So, I mean, if that's a big criteria, we can find it. In some older subdivisions, no longer have an HOA. They just go by whatever the city says. They've been like, it's a 50-year-old home and the indentures have actually expired. And now they just live under whatever county or city rules they have. And so there are subdivisions without HOAs, especially the older ones. So we can-
Is it possible to get your closing costs paid and also get the first time home buyers assistance and the no down payment at the same time?
Yes, 100%. Yeah,
hardest thing about getting closing costs right now is just that if the home is in great condition, it's priced well, there's just more than one buyer wanting it at the same time, and sellers don't have to pay closing costs and they don't mess with it. But off markets, definitely, yes. Or properties that may be overpriced and start to sit a little bit, we can work a deal out on. So yeah, you can combine all of them. Matter of fact, you can combine multiple no money down programs, can't you, Glenn?
and we got some that, require a down payment, but have grants up to $3,000 towards closing costs. It's as what they have on those programs, you can't make too much money. So that's why we say we screen for those programs. So
Yeah.
I would say, talk to Angie, talk to me, and we can get the information and then kind of let you know where you need to be and what's out there available for you.
Yeah, you
Awesome.
let us know what kind of budget you have, as far as what monies that you are willing to put toward a house purchase, and then we can fashion a scenario and make that work.
That's great. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in all that. And like in Ohio, for example, my partner and I, we both work in nonprofit. And in Ohio, there's also additional grants for people who work like in education, nonprofit work, emergency workers. So, definitely want that assistance in exploring what all of that looks like too, those
Yeah.
additional
Great.
funds. So thank you so much. I
Great.
appreciate you.
Yeah, when you guys looking to move here?
I think we plan on being there May 1st, so within the month.
Okay, that's soon. Well, that's fun.
I would definitely give me a call and just let me give you some guidance. Same with Angie.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Do we have a little calendar thing in the link there, Abner, that they could just pop
Yep.
on and
Sure thing.
any other questions? Okay, well, fantastic. Well, I appreciate you guys all joining. And I hope this was super helpful. If you would like a copy of the recording or maybe even a copy of the slides to help refresh your memory, we can definitely manage to send you those. You can just tell us in the chat box there real quick. And we will have those sent over to you. Hop on the Calendly link there and we can set up a time to sort of go through that exercise of what can I find in the market for my budget and all that great stuff just to help you get more information. And if you're not thinking about buying right now, it's really great to get online with the buyer's agent and let them set you up on a search, because it's a fantastic way to learn values while even though you're not ready. Right. And so I do this I do this in Branson. I have a gal I'm on a search in Branson, Missouri, because we love Branson. And I learn property values just by getting her to send me them as they come on. I can see how quickly they sell. I can see all the different prices. If one kind of like, hey, I don't understand what this one's saying. Is this a thing? I just call her and say, hey, what's going on with this one? And it's a great way to learn values in any area, is to have them sent directly to you. Yes, you can get a copy of the slides. Yes, Reggie. Great. All right. Any other questions from anybody? All right, I hope you can come out to our shred event if you are local. It's April 15th. And don't forget about our free family photo day. That's in the fall. And so we hope to talk to you all. I hope that we do have their contact information, right, Abner?
Yep.
And great. And so we'll just follow up with you guys. And investing in real estate, you just cannot go wrong. 4% appreciation compounded a year. It's amazing in what 5 and 10 years your house is worth. Absolutely amazing. Especially when property values just take a leap.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great evening, and we'll talk to you soon.